I regret to inform you that the libs are at it again. Here's Brian Williams. He's going to lean in to RussiaGating here like the Mueller report never happened. This is really, really sad.
Last thing before we go tonight, the darndest thing is happening over at Fox News, where these days, more than ever, they seem to love them some Vladdy Putin. It is true that Putin and Russia generally are coming off a 4-year sugar high where they were all but honorary members of the Trump administration and the Trump media industrial complex. Trump not only bent over backwards for Putin, he fell hard for the guy, let's face it, and craved his approval. And he brought his whole party along with him. Remember when we learned there were Russians at the GOP convention in Cleveland in 2016, as if that's a thing? And always remember, these Republicans spent the 4th of July 2018 in Moscow, as one does. So imagine you're an elected official in the United States, and instead of the annual hometown parades and picnics and fireworks with constituents and friends and family, no, you choose to spend your Independence Day in Russia, or as Ron Johnson calls it, the perfect July 4th. Also remember the T-shirts we saw at Trump rallies. I'd rather be Russian than a Democrat. And that actually explains some of this Putin supporting by Fox types. You see, the enemy of their enemy is their friend. Putin is at odds with Biden. They hate Biden. Ergo, go Putin. But that doesn't explain 4 years of making exceptions for Putin. And now they're going deep. All the while, remember, helping Putin to diminish the United States. They love the shirtless Putin over at Fox. Any chance to stress his virility and vigor, including what they say on the air, where it's sometimes difficult to figure out which side they're rooting for.
Russia's president challenging President Biden to a live televised debate.
Do you think it's healthy to see this happening on the world stage so early in Biden's presidency?
Joe Biden is the president. He doesn't need to keep this narrative that Russia is worse.
I think they should hash it out. You know, why not?
They view Biden as something of a clown.
Biden can't answer questions from reporters. He certainly can't do a one-on-one with Vladimir Putin on live television.
Who's likely to show up like that picture on a horse.
Joe Biden is, in fact, weak and frail, and he's struggling cognitively. The whole world can see what we see.
Putin and Biden, it would not end like Rocky IV. I don't think the American would prevail.
Jonathan Chait writes this in New York Magazine. Biden's clear break with Trump's line is offensive to Moscow and Mar-a-Lago in equal measure. Tom Nichols, a frequent guest of ours here, writes, this GOP Fox turn toward Russia is just anti-liberal spite, and it's traitorous. Or, as the pro-Putin caucus at Fox calls it, Friday night.
Brainworms. Complete brainworms. So, listen, is it true that Republican voters, some of the Fox News types, they defend Vladimir Putin and Russia because there's tension between Putin and Biden and they hate Biden, so it's this partisan reactionary drivel? Sure, absolutely. But, Brian Williams, you're doing the exact same thing in the other direction. And how do you not see that? How do you not know that? How can you not tell that that's the case? This whole narrative was crafted that Trump is Vladimir Putin's puppet. And so, as a result of that, and endless RussiaGating early on in the Trump administration, now you are reflexively anti-Russia. And my biggest problem with this is, what are you actually in favor of, Brian Williams? What are you actually in favor of vis-a-vis Russia? What policies would you like to see implemented? Because I'll tell you what I'm in favor of. I'm in favor of the Barack Obama approach. That's what I'm in favor of. Remember when Barack Obama was debating Mitt Romney in 2012, and Mitt Romney said, Russia is our number one geopolitical foe, and Obama said, the 1980s called, they want their foreign policy back, and Obama actually tried to de-escalate and make peace with Russia? Now, if Trump did the same thing, by the way, he didn't, we'll get back to that, but if Trump did the same thing, they would have said, this is evidence of treasonous activity, and he's a traitor. And he's Vladimir Putin's puppet. Exact same idea, exact same policy. One would have been good because it's Obama doing it. One would have been bad because it's Trump doing it. Now, I said, I'm going to come back in a second to the Trump thing because If you look at his actual record in regards to Russia, it is not at all, by any stretch of the imagination, giving them everything they want. They repeatedly bombed Syria, the Trump administration. Russia does not want the United States bombing Syria, their top ally in the region. The Trump administration also slapped down the creation of a pipeline in Russia that involved ExxonMobil in Russia. That is not by any stretch of the imagination what Vladimir Putin would want. There was a buildup of NATO troops on Russia's border that Trump greenlit. I mean, the list goes on and on. Trump approved the arming of Ukrainian rebels to fight Russia. Something that Obama didn't do because he viewed it as a huge escalation with Russia. When you actually look at the policy record, it's not even close. The idea that Trump is Putin's puppet is laughable. It's laughable. So listen, again, does Brian Williams have a point that, well, conservatives love and defend Vladimir Putin because Putin just came out? What happened was Biden called Putin a killer, then Putin was offended by that and recalled the Russian ambassador. And then he went out there and challenged Biden to a debate, and all of conservative media lost it, and they were like, yeah, that wouldn't go well for Biden. So are there conservatives who love and defend Putin simply because Putin is positioned now anti-Biden? Sure. But you're no better than that, and Rachel Maddow is certainly no better than that, Brian Williams. You're just as mindless in the other direction. For you, it's Russia bad all day, every day, no matter what happens, because you view them as in league with Republicans. You know, and by the way, you don't even have to be a defender of Putin to say, yeah, it does look like that's the one true thing Hannity has ever said in his life, that Joe Biden is weak and frail and struggling cognitively. Sorry, that's just accurate. It doesn't matter if Hannity says it. It doesn't matter if Attila the Hun says it. It's accurate. But they bring it up as, Russia. Like, try to be not shitty at your job for once. Try to actually believe in something and advocate for something as opposed to this mindless RussiaGate drivel.